The 49ers bye week is officially over, and after the dust has settled, I have to admit, they're in a pretty damn good spot. Plus, some news about an upcoming opponent that probably will shock the hell out of you. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Vish Kumaran, and Vish is joining us from the road. It's not his normal setup, Vish. Where are you coming from?
I'm in Orem, Utah.
And what is in Orem, Utah that brings you there?
Um, I'm working on a software product, and we're doing a release, and one of our business consumers um works with the product, or excuse me, who we're building the product for is based in Orem, Utah. And therefore, we're doing some market research because we're releasing the product to specific users and seeing how they interact with it to then go back and make changes for our next iterations.
Vish has one of
Very
the
boring.
real jobs that people talk about all the time. So, but I appreciate you coming from the road. We got a lot to discuss on today's show. Niners are after the bye. What's at stake? What's in front of them? What is on the table? Plus, that Colts game suddenly looks a lot different than we thought it was going to look. And there's an update there that just broke that I kind of want to start with. We'll get to the 49ers and what comes after the bye in a second, Vish, but I don't know if you saw this because we know that Daniel Jones tore his Achilles. He is done for the year. Daniel Jones' backup is also injured. He got hurt yesterday. So do you know where the Colts have turned?
Yeah, I saw that. So first, Daniel Jones had a Kobe moment completing that pass after tearing his Achilles. That was kind of cool. You could see it pop, and then he made the pass, whatever. But yeah, I saw they're calling Philip Rivers the ghost of Philip Rivers. Come on, man. Like, what is
They are
this? This isn't
they are
serious. Chris Ballard fired him. Come on, fire him.
44 years. Today's his birthday. 44 years old, hasn't played in the NFL since 2020. He was literally a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame this year, I believe. So, but they are calling him. And this is ironic because that's the same quarterback the 49ers were going to call in, what was it, 2021 with
Yeah,
Jimmy Garoppolo? Was it
yeah,
2021 the year if they had, or 2022?
yeah.
Was it if they had beaten the Eagles and Brock couldn't play? They were going to call Philip Rivers to come out of retirement for the Super Bowl, and now they may be facing that same guy in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Rob, I don't think this is real, by the way. There's no way he's in shape to play at 44. Like, I know he's coaching. I think his son plays, and his son has a similar throwing motion to him and all of that. But by the way, if we're accumulating a list, which I think we started on the last show, Chris Ballard is another that guy that could be added to it.
A list of
And
people Fish hates.
yeah, the most overrated, hyped guy in the media, because Daniel Jeremiah is his good buddy. Every Chris Ballard pick, oh, Chris Ballard, that guy knows the draft. He really knows how to draft guys. Like, oh, wow, wow. And every year they don't have that well built of a team. I think they have a really good coach. I think they have a really good running back. I thought Daniel Jones was playing great, but I think they're toast now. There's no Riley Leonard. I think Anthony Richardson does come back sometime before the end of the season for them, and that's disaster scenario. They don't want him playing as quarterback for them. They went full Trey Lance with him. So they're screwed. And I think there might be some firings now in Indianapolis because you trade 2 1s for Sauce Gardner, right? What's your intention then? We're going to pay Daniel Jones. He's going to be our quarterback. What are you going to do now? Daniel Jones got a cracked fibula and a torn Achilles. How many more chances does Chris Ballard get, man?
Hey, Chris, I know a quarterback you could have in Indy for a second round pick. Just saying. We'll see
They
what
like
happens.
mobile guys in Indy, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Just saying, who knows where it's going to turn out. But it just goes to show. And look, we're going to do it in 2 seconds. We're going to make the exact same mistake. So I'm not excluding us from this. But it just goes to show there's so much this time of year of, well, this team's going to play this team. And if this team wins, and if that, it's like stuff could change like that in an instant. So, all the planning and prognosticating and predicting that we do it could all be blown up in a second. And I say that knowing full well I'm about to put this tweet up on the screen, which is an early look at the potential movement this week. So the Niners moved up to the 6th seed. They are now the 6th seed in the NFC, thanks to the Bears' loss to the Packers. If the Niners win this week and either the Rams lose or Seattle loses, the Niners move up to the 5 seed. They can move up to the 2nd seed if both other NFC West teams lose and the Niners win. And they could even be the 1 seed, Vish, if they win, the Rams lose, Seattle loses, and Green Bay loses. And the best news of all, even if the 49ers lose and even if the Bears win, the Niners are still in a playoff spot in the NFC. It is a great time to be a 49er fan right now.
Yeah, they've almost optimized themselves where they're kind of one win away from locking this thing up for themselves. And I think it helps with the fact that, Chicago's still got a Detroit game, Chicago's still got a Green Bay game, so that's going to kind of sort itself out. The Niners Seahawks game is probably going to happen after the NFC playoffs is sorted for both the Niners and the Seahawks, which is a big advantage for them. And they have AFC games upcoming with Tennessee and Indianapolis that aren't necessarily going to be a big factor if they are in the tiebreak, because that's not going to count for much in the tiebreak. So the Niners are in one of the best spots they've been at the end of the year in a long, long time, other than when they're the prohibited 1 seed. And it's kind of interesting because they've gone through so many injuries, but this team has one of the better paths set up or they have as good a path set up in front of them as any Shanahan team has had going into these playoffs. The problem is, they're missing their 2 best players.
Well, you mentioned it and we've talked about it, but I'll say it again. What did we say? Oh, Daniel Jones is done. Colts are done. Forget it. Colts are done. No hope. Doesn't matter. They're not going to make the playoffs. Their season is over. And yet, no Bosa, no Warner, no Brock Purdy for 8 games, no George Kittle. Guys are no Juwan Jennings for a while, no Ricky Pearsall for a while. And the 49ers are not just not dead. They're not just contending. They're the 6th seed in the NFC right now with the potential to be the number 1 seed if things break their way this week. Yet Kyle Shanahan is a long shot for Coach of the Year.
I think the Coach of the Year part of it, look, the people that vote for Coach of the Year is media, right? And coaches ingratiate themselves with media for usually one of 2 reasons. One, it's what Robert Saleh did in 2019. Do you remember out of nowhere in 2019, the Niners are going in the bye, all of a sudden Peter Schrager is, oh, I talked to Robert Saleh this week. Mike Silver, oh, Robert Saleh, this guy's a really smart guy. They do that marketing so they'll put their name out and put them in that head coach conversation, because the reporters are the ones who are kind of disseminating information from team to team to team, talking behind the scenes. So, hey, Albert Breer, if Saleh tells him Albert Breer might be at Jets camp, 2 weeks from now, and he might slip it to a guy he knows on the Jets. Hey, have you looked at Saleh? That guy is very impressive. Like, how is he not on your radar? That sort of thing. That's how information moves in the NFL. And so when that sort of thing is happening, right, and you talk to reporters for that, you also then have to do the whole when the camera is shown on you. Robert Saleh is one of the best at the NFL at this. When he gets the camera during prime time, he takes advantage of it. He's got a great demeanor to him. He's got a celebration going. It's almost so well planned that it's authenticity that could be interpreted as inauthentic, because he's so ready to always have that show for the camera. That's part of winning this award, so you can sell it and the media people can sell it. Shanahan doesn't do enough on the sideline. He's dull. He's no good, better, best. He's no taking his shirt off and getting Wiener Circle free hot dogs. He's not doing that stuff. This is Shanahan right after the game. Hey, all right, guys, that was a hell of a win, guys. Hell of a win. All right, hell of a win. All 3 phases, off D. You guys really freaking brought it. That's a hell of a win, man. That's all he says. What are you going to do with that from a marketing standpoint? And so I'm so glad you went there, because it kind of ties 2 points into one, which is the earlier point you brought up. All the injuries and the way they are, it's a testament to how good the coaching is, right? Like, a lot of people get really upset about, hey, people don't really rank Brock Purdy the way I think he is nationally. Well, when you have a coach that puts on this sort of performance, that's able to take Mac Jones and have him produce like that, that's able to have Nick Mullins produce like that, it's always going to take away just a little bit from the players because, yes, he has a franchise quarterback in Brock Purdy. Yes, they brought him back and now they're gearing up to make a playoff run and they're 3-0 with him starting. But they also went, what, 5-2 with Mac Jones, 5-3? That was all coaching, all coaching.
You are so right about Shanahan, like not being marketable, so to speak, right? He doesn't come up with those slogans like you were talking about. By the way, if that slurp you just heard is the giant water bottle, the Gatorade bottle that Fish
Oh,
uses.
dude, is it coming through? Sorry about that. All right, I won't do that.
Just mute yourself before you take a drink. That's all. But you're right. He doesn't do that stuff. He's not into that whole showman thing. He's into, hey, I'm going to show you during the week examples with film of why we're going to do what we're going to do and why it's going to work. We're going to go out on the field. Most of the time, it works and they win. And so the players are like, this dude is awesome. But he doesn't, you never hear him in a post game talk say, I told you that was going to work. I told you if you just followed it. He never says that ever. And so there is he doesn't promote himself at all. Even like, with the Mike Silver book, he's the only one that didn't talk to Mike Silver about that book that came out.
Even more than that, Rob, like I've, been at times a little critical. If there's one thing I've criticized, it's his sideline demeanor. I think he can always do a better job in my mind in terms of how he shows his frustration on the sideline. Sometimes it's like a petulant child for a second. That's how he is on the sideline. Like you're the CEO of an organization. Everybody has eyes on you. Like your ability to maintain your body language should be better in those sorts of situations. But to that point, Rob, I also think like we don't see enough of that, if that makes sense. Like if you remember when Dayball won Coach of the Year, one of the things that made Dayball like marketable was, oh, look at Dayball. He just goes and yells at everybody. And that was like a thing. Remember Dayball, the angry guy, just, oh, look at Dayball. Dayball just gave it to him. Dayball doesn't take jack from anyone. You're welcome, Rob. 12-11, but you don't even have to write it down because I didn't say the word. And so yeah, and Shanahan doesn't necessarily do that either. There's never a sideline moment where you can put the camera on Shanahan and get something that's relevant. You can do it with Saleh. That's why Saleh is going to win Assistant Coach of the Year. Everybody is going to watch anytime the Niners are on public TV in terms of national TV, right? Everybody knows who Saleh is. And it's not because Saleh does anything. It's because when the camera shows him, you remember, oh, yeah, that guy showed up who was all happy. They were big defensive coordinator. Doesn't happen enough for Shanahan. It's a pure marketing thing. And I'm glad because we don't really evaluate coaches on Coach of the Year. I don't think we really even care about it. Like, how many coaches of the year does Bill Belichick have? But it's kind of BS in the case of Shanahan, especially this year. This year, I don't even know that there's anybody that's like a prohibitive candidate that you can be like, yeah, that's guaranteed the Coach of the Year. And the Niners aren't like a fringe playoff team. They're 9-4.
Freaking men. Iceman 0072 says the Rams in Seattle have a lot of dominant wins. They have a lot of like blowout wins. I'll give you that. But at least the Seahawks, and I talked about this before, they don't have a bunch of dominant wins over good teams. The Seahawks' best wins are Jacksonville and Houston. And I got to say that Houston win is looking better all the time with the way they're playing. But it's not like the Seahawks have been giant killers, right? They lost to the Niners. They lost to Tampa Bay. They lost to the Rams. So,
but
they've
think
blown out some teams yet.
It's the look, though, right, Rob? Like when the Niners blew out the Browns, for example, last week. We watched that game. Nothing about that game said blowout except the score, right? When Seattle is punishing these teams because they have a fully healthy roster in most ways, and they're a talented football team top to bottom, there's no doubt about that. They're able to really put a beating, on some of these teams. They're really able to punctuate it, score touchdowns on defense, that sort of thing. I think your underlying point is right. But it's more the visual when you're like, oh, what's Seattle doing? Oh, the last 3 weeks they've put a beating on these three bad teams. Like these three teams don't even look like they belong on the same field as them. They can't even move the ball an inch. It's more that sort of optic. But yeah.
But I think that is deceptive, honestly. I think that can trick you into thinking a team is better than it is. Not, and then maybe, look, maybe this is me looking through rose-colored glasses. I admit it. But I don't like, even if the 49ers had to match up with the Rams in the first round of the playoffs, I wouldn't love it, honestly, but I would not say, oh, the 49ers have no chance to win this game. Not at all, by any stretch of the imagination, or the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think the reason you think that, and it's really important because I don't think you could say this about every tenure of the 49ers, because usually the thing under Shanahan is that the Niners have always wanted to have the more talented roster, and they don't want to win based on what the game script is. They want to win the game that we could win this game 99 times out of 100 because we're more talented than you, and our talent is going to outlast you, even if we're not as buttoned up on special teams, even if we're not as smart with how we're managing the game script, etc. What makes this team unique, this team special, is they don't care that Seattle is better than them. Yeah, if you stack this roster 1 to 53, I'm sorry. Seattle is just a better team this year than the 49ers. But guess what? The Niners know that they just got to beat Seattle on that Sunday, that game, that Saturday. And the Niners know how to win that game this year. They know how to win the game that they're currently playing. Oh, the Rams game, we need to get out to a big lead. Okay, that's the only way we're going to win. And then how do we hold that lead up to the game, to the end of the game? We need this key fourth down stop. We'll get this key fourth down stop, that sort of thing. It's very different because they're not winning on talent dominance like they've won in 2023 when they went to the Super Bowl, like they won in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl. They are winning the game in front of them. How does this game play out? We have these coaching advantages. We have these disadvantages, that we need to avoid by all costs. And we need to then play this sort of game to win this sort of game. And that's how we need to go win today. And that's how the Niners are playing, which I think they always did to an extent, right? Shanahan always coaches the offense to beat that particular defense, but it's not in the whole, okay, this is the game script we need to follow by winning all three phases in this sort of way. And in that way, I think the injuries has almost made them a better coached football team, not because they're schematically better. I think they've played the game script 10 times better than they have in any time in Shanahan's era this year. And if they played the game script how they're playing it this year in years where they had the most talented team, we might have looked at their ultimate end result very differently. But it's a cool thing because this year they know how to win the game in front of them. It doesn't matter if Seattle is better than us. It doesn't matter if the Rams are better than us, except for the one game versus the Rams where they, played Mac Jones and the whole Brock Purdy thing. That was the one game where they looked a little bit defeated, like, oh, we're not winning this game. Besides that, they know how to win the game in front of them. And that makes them really dangerous because they're going to be playing with house money this playoffs. Nobody's going to pick them. They're going to go as a heavy underdog. And Shanahan's going to love playing spoiler to McVay with all the pressure this year. LaFleur with all the pressure this year. Seattle has a bunch of pressure this year. And the Niners are more than capable of beating all of them, to your point.
I think if the Niners, like in the third quarter in a playoff game against the Rams, got up with a lead, I think McVay would be crapping his pants on the sideline against Kyle.
100%.
I think he would be feeling that, oh my God, is this season slipping away? How is he doing this? How is this happening? I really do. I think he would be.
They would rip up their secondary in a playoff matchup. They would rip them up. Now, their secondary might get eaten alive by Stafford. That's another story. But they would rip up the Rams secondary for sure. They did it twice with Mac Jones.
Benali said, and I didn't see this, but Benali says Lynch talked about recently that apparently Kyle prepared the team to beat the Browns 2-0. But I do agree with what you said. I think that Kyle this year, whether it's through injuries or whether it was a change that he was going to make in the offseason anyway, I have no idea. But I think he has been way better at managing the game. I think that he had some guys in the past that almost like were cheat codes, and like he didn't have to be as buttoned up with that because he could throw a screen to Deebo Samuel and Deebo could break 4 tackles and run for a 50-yard touchdown. And Kittle could break 6 tackles and do the same thing. And they had Ayuk and all that. And it's almost like being in a group project and like not doing as good as you can because you know somebody else in the group is going to make up for it. But then all of a sudden you're in a different group and then you realize, holy crap, I'm the smartest one in this group. I got to pick up the pace for everybody else. And it's almost like that's what happened with Kyle this year.
I hear you, and I think it's even analogous to something else, right? I don't know if this has always been the case, but to me there's a difference between coaching in the NFL and finding, hey, we have these schematic advantages that we can take advantage against this team. This matchup, this run against this front. They can't block us when we do this. Those sorts of things, right? The Niners have been elite at that every moment Kyle Shanahan has been their coach. And then it's looking at the game and saying, okay, we have all these advantages, they have all these advantages, but we're stuck in a 6-3 game. And really, if we just score once, we might win this game just on that. And there's coaching around that. And I don't think he's not done that in the past, right? Because you can't be an NFL coach without being aware of these things in some capacity. But I don't think he's ever fully bought into this idea that, okay, we have these advantages, we have these disadvantages, but also we just have to go win this game. And this game is playing out this way, and this is how we're going to go win it from this point to the end, that sort of thing. And they're very, very, very concerned and aware of that this time. To the comment Benali pulled up. Hey, we know, what did we say the entire show, Rob? They knew they could not block them. That was the offensive game plan versus the Browns. They knew they could not block them. Did they go try to block them? Did they go try to, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to put our quarterback back. We do what we do. We're the 49ers. We have these matchups. We have these players. We're going to exploit it. No. They played the game as if we're not going to be able to block them. So how do we win this game without being able to block them? And that's how they played. Complimentary. We needed a special teams big play. They put a lot of emphasis on it. They celebrated it in the locker room after, right? Our defense has to play a certain way. We need our defense to play a certain way against this young quarterback. We need to do these sorts of things to do that. They did that, right? And then ultimately, quarterback can't turn the ball over, and we need to find a way for him to get the ball out of his hands quickly. We know we can't block them. We know he's going to be under pressure. So when his back foot hits the ground under pressure, will he have a clear sight to throw the ball every time? Those were the three problems they solved. Those were the three problems they solved, and they won the game. It's really impressive. And it's even better because I think the Rams have clear weaknesses that they can really exploit. And if they're playing the game script, Rob, it's just any given Sunday.
I really like this comment from Benali. I think it's fascinating. She says, Kyle's coaching with house money for the first time since 2018. I think that's really interesting, Vish. First of all, forget the injuries. If you had any sort of eyesight, you could read between the lines and read the tea leaves before this year that the 49ers, yeah, they were going to try and compete this year, but they were really setting up 2026 as a year where they could go for it and make a real push, especially financially. They took on the most dead cap money in the league before the season this year because they wanted to clear as much of their books as they could going forward for 2026 and beyond. And then on top of all of that, you get all the injuries. You get Brock going down, Kittle going down, Bosa, Warner, all that stuff. And I do wonder if Kyle was just like, you know what? Bleep it. What the hell? Let's go for it this year. If it doesn't work out, whatever. This was not going to be our year anyway. Who cares? And it's almost like he was freed in a way, right? Like he lost anxiety and was just like, screw it. Let's just go for it and see what the hell happens.
Yeah, so I have a lot of problems with the idea that any NFL season is house money or any NFL season is, hey, screw it, let's find out what happens. I mean, first of all, you get 17 chances in a year to coach NFL football. Like that's his job, and he gets to do the fun part of it 17 times a year. The rest of the other 17 days in the 365, so he's got what 348 days left in the day. It's a grind. He's grinding just for 17 days of enjoyment. When that happens, every football season can fluctuate. You're going with house money. You're trying to go for it every year. But I think within your point of is there pressure that Kyle has taken off of himself individually? I don't think it's that as much as I think he's comfortable with what he's doing for the first time in a couple years in terms of like I felt like last year the whole season was about I'm still upset that I lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do everything to try and recreate that moment for myself. And you can't force those sorts of things to happen. I think this year he's over it and he's back to just coaching the game in front of him, coaching the next play, coaching what's in front of him. I have these guys in my room. I don't have Debo. I don't need to scheme this up. I have these guys. What do I need to scheme for these guys to win? It's just coaching what's in front of you. And I think that's the job. I think that's what makes athletes, specifically NFL players, unique. It's their ability to shrug off, bad situations, shrug off negativity, move on to the next play, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. But they're human beings too. And sometimes this shit lingers with them. Sorry, 2502. And I think the Super Bowl from 23, the way it played out, the way they handled the offseason, it really stuck with Kyle Shanahan. And it took him a year to wear off all of those wounds, have to go through a different season, have to go through a different set of wounds from that season. And I think he got refreshed and he's back this year to just coaching in the moment. And he's better than most coaches. And so if he coaches in the moment, coaches the game in front of him, they're in good shape, Rob.
I was trying to find it while you were talking. I can't find it, but there was a clip from, was it the owners meetings, from something in the offseason where he says exactly what you said. Last year was all about trying to get back and make another run. This year's not about that. It's just about getting better every single week. And I remember at the time we talked about that and how that was the right mindset to have going into the year, because it was a new year and there had been so much turnover. And I think it has absolutely helped. And I think hopefully that's the mentality they have every year, even if somehow they did get to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl this year. Like Belichick talked about it constantly. Every year is a new year. It doesn't matter what you did last year. So there is no get right back to there. No. And I think that
Right.
yeah, go ahead.
No, you're right. It's a new challenge. And
At
Kyle sees that. Oh, wait,
Jake
real
Cruz,
quick, one more thing on that too. I also really detest this season was a throwaway because they're gearing up. Because here's the thing. Once you pay your quarterback and you pay your quarterback like that, you pay him because, hey, every season we compete. It doesn't matter what we're putting in a roster this year versus last year. Every season we compete because we're paying that guy. And that's what they did. And so I don't want to hear, this season was throwaway. They didn't know where they were going, blah, 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 blah. No.
by the way, really quick, some people in the chat are asking what happened to me this weekend because they saw my post about me in the hospital gown. We'll get to that before the end of the show. So if you're wondering, I will let everybody know. J. Cruz 49er says it's wide open this year. The Bears were first place in the NFC yesterday. Now with one loss, they're seventh. The Rams got spanked by the Panthers. No team looks unstoppable. Exactly. They're especially in the NFC. Everybody's got flaws. No question about it. And that is awesome news if you're the 49ers, because God knows we got them too.
Oh, 100%. But they probably have the best coach at covering up and giving them advantages for what they're good at and hiding their flaws, which is what they're bad at. And so it's like their coaching is here, their talent is here, everybody else's talent is here, coaching's here. And so the Niners just need their coaching to get the advantage. And I say that amongst playoff teams. They're much more talented than most teams in the NFL still.
Yeah, I agree. Steve Young was just on KNBR and he was talking about, the possibilities for the 49ers and what it takes and all that stuff. And he said a lot of the same things that we have said, which is, hey, get to the playoffs and anything can happen. And the way he phrased it was get to the playoffs and we've got some guys that can still take over a game, which is true. Christian McCaffrey can take over a game. George Kittle can take over a game. When you get to the playoffs, sometimes literal seasons end because some guy just goes God mode.
And they have a game script across the NFC, right? Seattle, you can, if you know where Sam Darnold's going to go with the ball and you make him hold on to it just a hair longer and you get people around him. The Niners made him play poorly in week one. It's an advantage. The Niners have that sort of matchup. And that defense is really, really hard, but Purdy played well for a portion of that game. And I mean, Bosa closed it out week one, but You
Yeah, he
hope
did.
Purdy builds off of a very good performance against the Browns and maybe reproduces what he had in the first half against Seattle before he got banged up in the beginning of the year when he played very well. Um, Green Bay can't stop the run, have real issues with bigger fronts, especially grinding on them. Chicago was able to run the football very well on them in the second half. Big issue for Green Bay. Niners have that advantage. They'll be able to do that against Green Bay, right? The Rams, worst secondary of all the playoff teams. Shoot, the Niners might have a better secondary than the Rams. Like the Niners are going to be able to have an advantage in that area versus the Rams. And so you go down the list of NFC teams, and the Niners do have a game script to win against all of them.
That's a good point. Yeah, that really makes me feel good. Thanks for that. I needed that, Fish. After the weekend
Well,
I
I
had.
mean, the other way is they also have a game script to win against the Niners. The thing is, you think, well, the Niners have better coaching than them. They're going to be the underdog. They're not going to have the expectation. And maybe all of those things coming together can,
All those things coming together can what?
result in them going to Green Bay like in 2021 and beating them in Green Bay, that sort of thing. Things just culminating in the perfect moment. Yeah.
With a special teams play, right? The block punt, Talanoa Hufanga picks it up. That was a special teams game because they didn't score an offensive touchdown in the game.
Hey, Jordan Willis, man.
God bless him. Those trades, those Lynch trades, sometimes they come back to pay dividends.
Those
There's
Lynch pins.
Oh God, you were proud of that. Like you thought that was a good thing to say on the show.
Oh, I kind of liked it. Yeah. I was right on the spot. I was pretty clever with it. Yeah. I didn't expect you to be so snappy, but
There's a comment that I heard on Dieter and Hutch that I really want to ask you about because it's 100% correct, but I genuinely don't understand it. And usually when that happens, I go to you. But before we get to that comment, I just want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Let me throw my phone on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about here. We make all of our picks with Sleeper, and we had a bad week last week. I'm not going to lie. It was not a good week. We were not good because we had to pick non-49ers stuff, and obviously we know more about the 49ers. So we'll get back on the horse this week. Niners, Titans, a lot of big numbers out there for this game, Bish. I don't know, like Brock Purdy passing yards, 242 and a half. Could easily get more than that, or it could be a Christian
Shador
McCaffrey.
just threw for 360, dog.
I know, so I don't know what to think of this Titans defense. Is it good or is it not good?
I like a big passing day for Brock Purdy coming off the bye.
Okay, that's true. Extra time to prepare. I could see that.
They're going to say this is the healthiest he's look, all of it. I think the Niners hype going into the Bears game is going to be the biggest Niners hype all year. They're going to put a beating on the Titans is what I think. And I think they're going to look good.
I hope they do. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here. Nobody has a crazy receiving. Kittle's receiving yards, 49 and a half. McCaffrey, 46 and a half. Jennings, 47 and a half. I'm off the Jennings. We'll get to him in a second, too. God, Juwan Jennings. But I think I would take the Kittle receiving number, and I think I would take the McCaffrey receiving number as well. And if you want to play around with Sleeper, I highly recommend it. Just go download the app and check it out. They have picks, obviously. They have fantasy, as you can see. You can have fantasy on there. And the app itself is awesome. They have the breaking news. Look, right there is the Phillip Rivers news that we talked about before, at the start of the show. So go and check it out. And if you do, just sign up. You'll get a free $20 entry, which is obviously fantastic. And if you want to deposit money, use our code GSP, and you'll get a $100 deposit match on your first deposit, up to $100, that is. So go and check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, Bish. I want to get to the comment that I heard from Dieter and Hutch on their show. Then when Hutch said it, I was like, damn, that is exactly right. But I have no idea why. And the comment was that the 49ers have a second half of the season offensive line, meaning they get better in the second half of the season than they were in the first half of the season. And I don't understand this. It is the same head coach. They're playing in the same offensive system. It is the same offensive line coach. And 4 of the 5 offensive linemen this year were the same guys they had. And yet they still get better in the second half of the season. The first half of the season, sometimes it looks like they don't know what the hell they're doing. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't like that specific to the 49ers. I think it happens more for the 49ers because they're probably one of the best coached units in terms of their offensive line in the NFL. But I think offensive lines across the board start playing better over the second half of the season. I don't think there's enough practice, Rob, and there's enough physicality in these practices that they get enough reps on coordinating all of these run plays. And the Niners' run plays are intricate to the point where if somebody takes half a step in the wrong direction or is a couple steps off in terms of, hey, I needed you to go to this launch point in 2 steps and get an angle on this guy in this way, and you're just a little bit off on your landmark and stuff, it can throw off the whole run game. There's so much coordination in terms of how it plays together. That's why the receivers blocking is so important because they need to block at certain points so that the runner can be sealed off and break it and all of these sorts of things. There's so much intricate details that go into it. And I think practice enough between the start of the year until like week 5 where they get enough reps. They're like, this is how teams are playing us. These are our bread and butter runs. I also think on top of it, Rob, every new game plan, like, look, when I say new game plan, it doesn't mean that now they're completely changing the fronts they play versus the 49ers. But the rules within those fronts, like maybe you had your 3 technique playing the Niners run game a certain way for 2 years, and Shanahan rips you up in the division. Well, you're going to go to your defense. You're going to say, we're going to still play the same defense, but now let's change the rules of what we tell our 3 technique to do on this play so that we can stop this style of run. That's also another thing that happens. I think the best thing Shanahan does is once he gets a beat on how people are trying to defend him, he just knows how to abuse it because he knows more football than anyone else. Sometimes it also takes him a second to grab that, this is the new wrinkle. They're all having their 5 techniques slant this way, and this is stopping our run game. Well, if you're going to do that, that actually leaves you open for this. So I'm about to abuse this for the second half of the year until someone makes a complete adjustment to this front to stop this and this. And so to me, it's a mixture of 2 things. One, practice, which I think goes across the league. It's not just a Niners thing. And then the second is I think it takes Shanahan always a second for, that's how you guys are playing me this year. That's what you guys are doing. That's your little wrinkle. Now I'm about to just destroy that.
That is true. The more information that Kyle has on how you're playing him, the better he does. I also think, too, in game, I don't think he gets enough credit also because teams know that if we go into the week doing everything we've always done against Kyle Shanahan, he's going to rip us up. And so a lot of the times they will do things against the 49ers that they have not done against anybody else. And so Kyle also has to see that during the game if they do come out and do something different and figure out, oh, this is what they're doing. Now here's how I adjust to that on the fly.
That's the chess of football. It's like they know that I know they do this and I'm going to beat it this way. So what is going to be their Hail Mary they're going to throw at me? And usually he's pretty good at predicting what the Hail Mary that they're going to throw at him is. And he's got a little slick counter punch for that as well. He's, I, I hate how much him not winning a Super Bowl has taken away from like even when we talk about him in a good way, at some point the conversation is going to break down to, well, he hasn't won it all. How great is he really? That sort of thing. Because from a strategy standpoint and all of this, like I wasn't alive when the Niners had Bill Walsh. I didn't know what that felt like. The Niners were not that ahead of anybody from a strategy standpoint when they had Jim Harbaugh. It was their physicality, it was their team camaraderie, those sorts of things that made them win those games. They're so far ahead from a coaching standpoint, like the way they're able to utilize their talent, all of these things. He is some coach.
A couple other things I want to get to. One of which is the Juwan Jennings situation. The Niners had an open locker room today, and everybody rushed to Juwan Jennings because we got to find out what Juwan Jennings thinks about what the Browns said about what Juwan Jennings said. We got to ask Juwan Jennings about his trash talk. I could not care any less about that story, Vish. That is such a who cares? Juwan Jennings talked trash and the other team got mad about it. So what? Who gives a crap?
It's a national story, Rob. Who's going to read your writing if you like? Who's going to read your writing if all you do is talk about what Fred Warner said that week? This was the first national story the Niners have had.
It's so stupid. And I have never seen a player that is as replaceable as Juwan Jennings generate more headlines around themselves ever in my life. Going back to
Tabor
the
Pepper.
summer. What?
Tabor Pepper.
No, this is on another level. Going back to the summer with his contract stuff, that became a big story. Juwan Jennings, who the hell cares? This guy is going to be completely forgotten about the second he leaves the 49ers. Why are we sitting here talking to Juwan Jennings? Everyone's crowded around his locker. Oh, what did you say? What did he say? Why was he mad? He's mad. Are you mad that he's mad? Who cares? This is so dumb. Oh my God. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I also think it's different that they're coming back after the bye and doing it. It's one thing if,
Right.
like, while on the bye when it's relevant, like you got Juwan Jennings on a Wednesday right after the Browns game, open locker room, like, go ahead. But you've sat 1 week in the Niners bye week, and I guess Niners writers don't use that time to watch football. That's their break time. Don't, interact with football at all. And you come back, and the only thing you think is relevant about this football team is going and trying to have high school drama with Juwan Jennings and Shelby Harris. It's the state of
Right.
reporting, man.
Two-player, like, who gives a crap about either one of those guys? But
You know,
I just,
while we're on what Niners reporters did that pissed me off, can we do another one?
I think I was going to get there anyway. Are you talking about the McCaffrey thing?
No, let's do that one after. Okay, now we have three.
Okay.
What's with why are we creating timelines for Fred Warner to return when the team hasn't said anything except he's going to come back, next year? Why are we doing that?
Right. I saw your tweet about this. So John Lynch was asked about, he did a sit down with Mayoko, right?
Mm-hmm. And Mayoko is asking about a timeline that another reporter created based on another reporter asking a doctor who has not diagnosed Fred Warner's injury at all. He's just talking about the injury on the whole. And look, I think talking about players coming back from injury is totally fine. Like what other topic you were talking about? People are interested when what Fred Warner is going to come back. But I think creating this expectation that you can return from this sort of injury in this sort of time, so therefore there's a chance Fred Warner can do it too because he's this one of a million human being, that's bullshit, man. He's got a real injury. His ankle was turned east and west. And now we're trying to create an air like he will return when he wants to return. He will return when he's healthy to return. When the team tells us, okay, Fred Warner is 5 weeks out, then we start doing the projection of, oh, he's going to come back from here, here, and here. If we create a narrative for that, then what are people going to think if Fred Warner takes a year now to come back from this injury? What if he needs 2 surgeries because it had all these kinds of complications? What are you creating as a narrative? It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. And look, serious injuries need to be treated more human. Like they need to be treated more human. These writers, if they tear their ACL, they're not reporting on themselves. Hey, I'm going to be back in 10 weeks. How can you say that? You have not seen his injury. The person you're asking hasn't diagnosed his injury. Why are you now creating a narrative that he could come back at a time he may not be able to?
It is weird that Barrows had like percentages in the mailbag column about like, wild card week, the percentage is this week, the percentage is that. And like, maybe he was just trying to do a tongue in cheek thing. I don't know. But it did strike me that he put, and I want to say, first of all, I have also discussed whether or not Fred Warner could be back for the playoffs. So I'm not, I've done the same thing.
Rob, it's different from having a discussion like, hey, he can come back at this point versus this point, and then being like, if there's this percent chance he comes back. Usually this injury takes X amount of time. So therefore he should be back in Y amount of time and all of that without having any idea of what's going on with the guy's ankle. The team hasn't put right. It's one thing if the team goes, oh, Fred's off his crutches. He's running on the side. They put like the team starts feeding it. Nobody has fed into it except one writer. One writer has gone out of his way to create this narrative that he can come back this year. Why? If he can, that's awesome. But why do you have to create it as an expectation, as a narrative that people think, man, yeah, his ankle injury only takes 4 weeks. And then you've heard this sort of conversation that we have this sort of conversation. So-and-so's ACL took 1 year. Why is so-and-so's ACL taking 14 months? It's a really serious injury, right? But because of the way these writers talk about it, we've diminished talking about people's ACLs like it's going and getting antibiotics for a cold.
Right. It's a much more serious thing than Like you would feel so much differently about an ACL recovery if you tore your own ACL and realized what had to be done to come back from it, right?
Right. Right. And you wouldn't want people putting a projection on that because you're going from immobile to walking again. Like you're going through this whole rehab process. Let's say you're 2 weeks into the rehab and someone's like, yeah, he's going to be playing professional football in 6 weeks, guys. That's what this doctor told me. Like, what is that? I'm
I
talking from like a strictly human level. Like, let's just think about this from a human level.
Fish is fired up about this.
Yeah, I did not like that. I thought that was kind of BS. I thought we talk about some things that we do that affect players. I think that fans don't get on these sorts of reporting when reporters do things favorably for the team that puts down a player. We don't put it down enough. And this was not a case where it's favorable for anybody because the team itself has not released anything about him coming back.
Right.
This was, hey, this is a good narrative. Fans would be interested. Let me get 5 more clicks on my article by creating a narrative that he could come back at this time.
The team, if anything, has downplayed it. Like Kyle has basically said he doesn't think it's possible. Even Lynch was kind of like, well, we know he's going to try, and he kind of, downplayed it a little bit. Vinny says we're all interested in Fred Warner returning and got to believe Fred would try and believe he's actively trying. And I'm sure he is actively trying because it's Fred Warner, and I'm sure he would want to if he could. But if he can't, no one should hold that against him, even though you
right. And this turns into right. If he can't, oh well. Hey, I read this article from Matt Barrows, and he said that everybody with this injury returns within 4 months. So why is Fred Warner taking 5 months?
That's fair.
We're talking about someone returning from an injury. We shouldn't be putting timing on that.
Well, but then like CJ here says, you've got freaks of all freaks like Adrian Peterson, right? Who recovers from the ACL and literally almost sets the single season rushing record. Or you've got guys like Jerry Rice, who came back in the same season from an ACL injury, or Rod Woodson.
He cut the cast off himself.
Right. So people hear those things and they're like, well, it's possible. So why can't it be possible again? And yeah, no one should ding Fred Warner if he doesn't come back this season. The injury was horrible.
Even that, Rob, I think that that's a great outlook to have. Like, you should have this belief that Fred Warner can do the impossible because he's one of those people. He's done the impossible a bunch of times. Like, what he does is a 1 in a 1 million. That's how good he is at his job, and that's how niche his job is, okay? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that when he goes through an injury now, he's going to be the 1 in a million every time. Like, his body, you don't know how it's reacting. Like, the reason I'm calling this irresponsible is I wouldn't say that if the Niners put out a report and then Matt Barrows went to the doctor and understood the injury better and said, okay, this is what the Niners say, and this is now the projected timeline. Somebody has asked him a very innocuous question, and he's gone to a doctor and he's been like, oh, based on this, now these are the timetables for him to be able to return. And that's turned into a full-on narrative about this team. And the team has never said anything that, oh, he could come back at this time. To your point, Shanahan has downplayed it every opportunity he's gotten. So why are you now then creating this expectation that he could come back? And we've seen disasters when guys try to come back from injury too early, too. For every Adrian Peterson, there's a Quan Alexander. He lost his contract, his career, everything from coming back from that torn pec. And he was one of the worst players in the Super Bowl. So it's one of those things where it's like, are we being fair when we're talking about somebody's injury, right? Like this person is injured.
No, but we're not about fairness as fans. That's on the list of what we care about, being fair to people. Definitely not 1, 2, 3, 4, probably not 5, to be honest with you. So, all right, let's get to something else that you tweeted, because I thought this was a really interesting thing that I had never heard before. And it ties back into what you were talking about the 49ers press corps and things that they do or do not say and things that they do or do not see. And this comes from the Chris Sims Unbuttoned podcast, I believe. It becomes after the Panthers game. And I'll just play the clip of Chris Sims talking, and then we can get into it. So here is Chris.
Different. Right. I mean, his legs are unbelievable. I mean, he's got a chest and a six packs on him that you'd go, man, I wish I could look like that with my shirt off. He's obsessed with not only training, eating right. He sees a lot of people that take care of his body. In fact, I think at times where Shanahan's like, do you need to see all these people? Right?
Is it too much?
Like, right. It's like, do you have to have a doctor for every little thing on your body?
Right.
Yeah, I think there was a little worry there.
It's mentally overwhelming.
It can be mentally overwhelming, like you're talking about. You know, he goes and even, I think, leaves practice sometimes and trains with his own guys and does that. But they trust him because they know he's the ultimate professional. He grew up in an ultimate professional house with his dad. And yeah, even though it's Shanahan or whatever, like, do you need to do all this? They're still going to be like, well, hey, it's working. Let's keep doing it.
So that is fascinating for a couple of different reasons. That's Chris Sims talking about Christian McCaffrey saying he leaves practice sometimes to go get medical treatment from his own people. I have never heard anybody on the 49ers beat ever say this one time. And I think it's very interesting because Brandon Ayuk just got his contract voided for skipping rehab or not doing what the 49ers wanted in terms of his rehab. And I want to know, I would be fascinated to know how it is possible that Christian McCaffrey has been on this team since 2021? And no one has ever seen this. No one has ever asked Shanahan about it publicly.
Yeah. For me, it's less about this. Like, I can understand why the team wouldn't want this out there, whatever. Like, if he's seeing his own guys, it could be like Brady, Alex Guerrero. You don't know how these teams, operate. You don't know what rules they have. Fine. My issue is then turning around and presenting the Brandon Ayuk news like, hey guys, like he really did something bad. Like, I'm not even going to report this as a story because I cover both the player and the team. I'm just going to tell you what the team told me to tell you. And that's the part of it that I feel and I get frustrated by. Like, okay, McCaffrey can do this. Every player has a different set of rules, right? Like, McCaffrey and Ayuk are not the same on the 49ers. We can all say that. Now, they might be 2 stars, but McCaffrey's going to the Hall of Fame. Brandon Ayuk, maybe, probably not, okay? There's a difference to both of these guys. But my issue is, okay, you report the Ayuk situation, and one, it's something that's been going on for 7 months in the season, and not a reporter other than Matt Mayoko allegedly seemed to even have a sniff of it. But then, two, you just report it like it's a fact. There's so much more going on in this Ayuk situation that's been made publicly available to us. What the McCaffrey thing proves, what the Bosa thing proves, it doesn't mean that, now the Niners are some unfair organization that treats Ayuk this way and treats Bosa and McCaffrey this way. No. That's the point that people who can't comprehend what's going on in the argument, they'll make that argument. Like, no, you're hurting my feelings. Like, the Niners aren't mean. They don't treat these people different. No, nobody cares about that. What we're interested in is, so that's really not your issue with Ayuk. What's the real issue with Ayuk? This could be the final straw. This could be how you voided his contract. But this is not clearly something that you hold against other players for doing. So what is it specifically with Brandon Ayuk? Why did you want to trade him, a month after he was injured? Why did you want to trade him a year after giving him his contract? These are all things that came on before it was voided, before we found out all of these things. And so that's where my head is at, Rob. And I feel frustrated because the job of a reporter isn't to relay the message of the team. They cover the players and the team. That's why the players have a union. And the 49ers reporters do not cover the players. They don't cover anybody except when the team wants a press release out, they say, hey, reporters, say this to the fans. And that's what happens.
They voided his money in July, and we didn't find out about it until months later. And a national reporter had to break it? You're telling me none of the local guys knew? Nobody had any idea? There was no way that they could have found this out before then? That's crazy. And there is so much, I agree with you. There is so much that we don't know about this Ayuk situation and what went down. We still haven't heard any of Ayuk's side because he hasn't said anything about it. And they're not even looking. They're not even looking.
They don't even want to question it.
Right. They're just like, he must have done something really bad. How do we not know
what is that something? Yeah, what is that something? Don't you want to go find out what it is? Haven't you heard inklings of all the other somethings that he may have been doing? You're telling me you're telling me this guy has been a malcontent for essentially 2 years and we haven't even heard a lick of it, except for one video of him wearing the wrong shorts?
It's crazy to me.
It makes the whole thing kind of stupid, right? Because on one hand, you have people who go out of their way to project and read into situations. Yeah, he's not a team guy. He did this with his No, every player who wanted a contract from the 49ers acted a certain way. It didn't end like this. But, he didn't even take the money. Yeah, but he ended up getting the money he wanted from the 49ers. So he wanted to be paid by the 49ers. On some level, he wanted to stay. He turned down trades to say everything that happened. Then why did you pay him to trade him? Why did you? None of it makes sense. And the problem is, if you try to read into it from what's being reported to us, it's not sensible. It doesn't mean that the Niners did something wrong. It doesn't even take anything away. Like, Ayuk could really just be this totally bad guy, and the Niners could be just getting rid of him by good riddance. But the information presented to us, all we have seen to this point is a guy who wanted his contract, ended up finally getting his contract, tore his ACL, and wore the wrong shorts. Those are the 4 publicly available facts we've seen. And it's ended in trade rumors from January, his contract being voided in July. You're telling me it's just insubordinance? Like he went somewhere else to rehab, and that's why they did all of this?
Well,
No, that's clearly not an issue because other players on this team do that.
Right. That's the thing. And it's with this Christian McCaffrey thing. I mean, the idea that he could be leaving practice. Kyle loves practice. It's sacred to him. Kyle won't even wet the footballs in practice because he doesn't want it disrupted. He wants practice to run a certain way. And yet his best player, the guy the entire offense revolves around, can leave in the middle of it to get treatment. And Brandon Ayuk's got to be like, damn, man, what the hell? And
I don't think it's that, though. That's where I don't really put this on the team, Rob, because at the end of the day, you're running the team, right? Like you have to make decisions. We're going to ride this way. We're going to ride with these people. We're not going to ride with these people. So I'm not even going to be emotional to what the team does, right? And I'm not going to be like, well, Brandon Ayuk is like, what the heck? You do this for McCaffrey. You don't. I'm emotional with how the team has chose to paint this narrative. And the Niners do this constantly, right? Where they're very dishonest in the face of everybody telling them, wait, there's no way this makes sense. We had no interest in Mac Jones. We let the reporters go make all of this up. Remember that? And now more and more comes out what? They wanted to draft Mac Jones. Right? And the Niners reporters are almost happy being told, like, hey, we're going to make you guys look like idiots to everybody that reads your reporting because you're going to do exactly what we say and never have an opinion of your own. And they're like, okay, thank you. Like, we won't question this. We will put down people who do question it.
It's wild to me.
He could be insubordinate. That's what I don't want to take away. Like, people think immediately when you take this angle, well, you don't account for what Ayuk did. He wore the wrong shorts to practice. Nobody has found the story. Nobody has put the reporting out there on what he's done. Do you want to just blindly believe this? There's a big story behind this, Rob. This is a big story. And guess what? Mike Silver will write it in a book 3 years from now.
Look, I think that's part of it, right? They're 9-4. They're sitting pretty in the 6th seed in the playoffs right now. The vibes are good, right? That's what this season is about. Good vibes. They don't want to do that, right?
But they didn't start with good vibes, right? Like, Rob, we've talked. Well, no, I'm talking about with the Ayuk situation. Like, he was deep in rehab in January, February at the combine, where people were like, oh, the Niners might trade Brandon Ayuk. Remember? We were sitting here on this show like, oh, we're supposed to talk about that? That's a real thing? They paid him. What the hell is going on? They started that. And you're telling me from that span of point to where they voided his contract, to when it came out publicly, there's been no information that these people have gotten about anything that's gone on between these two.
It's so.
Look, if we're going to criticize players for being bad at their job, like, this is some of the worst reporting you can have. Like, what's the difference between the 49ers reporters and the team just putting out a press release? What are the reporters adding between those two areas?
Nothing.
What context have they provided?
And that's what I have said. If all the 49ers disappeared off the face of the earth tomorrow, we would be no less informed about the team than we are right now. And I know some of those guys are nice people. I've had some on the show. I've talked to them. But that is just a fact. What is the last story from a 49ers beat writer, not a national person that a 49ers beat writer has then piggybacked off of? What is the last story from a Niners beat writer that has come out that would make the 49ers angry? I cannot think of one. And that's not good beat writing.
Rob, I don't even think it needs to make them angry. Like, I don't even know who the villain is in the situation. But it's not intellectually honest to just parrot the information that he missed something that then voided his contract and leave it at that. That's not this story. The whole point of honest investigative journalism was then, how do I go find out and tell the truth in all of this? And guess what? The truth, if they really find the truth, the Niners would be unhappy. Ayuk would be unhappy. Everybody's going to have some level of unhappy in the truth because nobody looks great in the truth, right? But it's not even about making anybody look good or bad. They don't even try. They don't try. Like, they don't try.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And it's incredibly frustrating. I know
it's lazy. That's what it is. It's lazy.
And I know people are going to sit there and say, why don't you do it, Rob? If you think they're so bad at the job, why don't you move to California and do it? Because I don't have any money. Okay. I can't afford to live in California. I'll tell you that right now. It's not possible for me.
You want to know the truth of it, Rob? I'll put it to you like this, Frank. I work a full-time job, like you said, right? I don't have time to follow this team the same way they should have time to follow this team. I don't have access to follow this team the same way they have access to this team. So you know what the reality of it is? No one should ever care about my opinion. No one should care about any content creator's opinion because the reality of it is, and I mean this with all due respect, the beat reporters have X amount of resources available to them. They get to see the players. They get to talk to the players. They get to go to the building. They get to do all of these things that normal people don't have access to. So then why is there such a big content creator contingency for the 49ers? Because they don't do anything with the advantages they get. And people are like, okay, this person can go talk about it. This person can go talk about it. They actually have an opinion. They're honestly talking about the situation. And this isn't to put myself up or to put any show up or content creator up. This is to say, if the 49ers beat writers did a good job, if they did their jobs very successfully, they would run competition out of business. Like they wouldn't have to be snappy on Twitter about this content creator saying this or this content creator doing that because they have every advantage in the industry to get 20 times the engagement, 30 times the views, everything compared to content creators. And they get frustrated that they're not doing that. And they're not doing that because they don't do their jobs in an honest way.
It switched. The requirements of beat writing switched. A beat writer used to be the only conduit to the team that fans had. They were the only way. Teams didn't put out their own stuff. Teams didn't have public relations. They didn't have any of that. The fan needed information about the team. They depended on the beat writers to put that information out. But then guess what? Technology happened. Teams got smart. Teams started managing their own media message through their own media people. And so the job of the beat writer had to change from simply passing along information to finding information, to digging up information, to providing new information that was not readily available through an insider tweeting out a transaction that came down the wire that literally every NFL team has. And too many, not just the 49ers beat writers. I don't want to only put them on blast because there's certainly other teams that are guilty of this as well. But it seems like with the 49ers especially, they've not made the switch. They're not interested in making the switch. They're just interested in continuing to pass along information from the team to the fans. And that's not enough anymore.
And Rob, to that point, it doesn't even have to be something that's like, it doesn't have to be something that's exaggerated. It doesn't have to be something that pisses the team off. When's the last time you've seen one of these people on the beat look at the state of the team and observe something that it's like, yeah, I wouldn't have heard that if I was just watching the broadcast. I wouldn't have heard that or read that if I was just sitting around following the team. Like they're there every day. They saw something about this contract and they were like, hey, look out for these two moves with these two players, those sorts of things. You don't get anything. You don't get anything.
I agree.
I like the level of it. I don't think people realize like I'm asking for the absolute bare minimum. And I'm really passionate about this because I'm a fan first. I consume the content of every one of these people. For the amount of crap I talk about them, I follow every one of them. I've been reading all of them since I was a kid. I rely on them. They're the people that tell me what's going on with my favorite football team. And they've all become unreliable. I don't need any of them to find out what's going on with my favorite football team. And it used to not be that way. And I would like it to be better because honestly, first and foremost, Rob, I love doing this. I love doing this show with you, but I'm a fan first. I want to read their shit first. I want to watch your shit first. I want to watch 104.03. I want to watch like all these different people because I like it as a fan. I tune into your post game. I do these sorts of things because I enjoy it as a fan. I want better content.
I agree with everything you're saying. I hate to just keep saying I agree, but it's true. It is absolutely 100% true. I mean, think about the things that have happened with this team that we either we don't know about to this day, or were not talked about until well after the fact when it was safe to report them. The veterans going to Kyle Shanahan and saying, get Trey Lance, the guy that was drafted to be the future of the franchise, get him off the field, even though it was working. Kyle Shanahan to this day has never been publicly asked about that, even though they all knew it. And then after Lance gets traded, they talk about it like, oh, yeah, everybody knew that the veterans, like it was like a thing that everybody knew. Brandon Ayuk being in the doghouse for no reason. Or some
it's further, right? They put down people also. Like they do the team's bidding to the point that it's not only we're going to relay this message, we're going to absolutely call the people who say, well, no, he's in the doghouse stupid.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You're right. It's not only that. It's we're stupid. We're overreacting, right? Like, oh, we're just idiot fans. It's like, no, there's a lot of meat on this.
Yes, that's our job. Our job is to be idiot fans, and then you tell us what's going on. Our problem is we're idiot fans. You tell us, no, you're idiot fans. And then we're like, wait a second. That thing we were being idiot fans about turned out to be right. Oh, they brought Jimmy Garoppolo back not because it was a good financially stable situation to make him Trey Lance's backup 1 month before the season.
Yeah, I mean, God, the Jimmy thing. Oh,
like, are we considered to be stupid?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you weren't supposed to say yes. That kind of makes me sad.
No, I think the beat writers do consider most fans stupid. I do. I mean, Tim Kawakami not only thinks the fans are stupid, he thinks the content creators are even worse, right?
Yeah.
The bros, the content creator bros have to bro. The aggregators. The condescension is palpable. He doesn't
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I'd be upset too. But here's the thing, Tim. No fan can pick up my job and come do it. That's the problem, Tim. So what's missing in your job? What skills are you missing that people are picking up your job and you're viewing them as competition? That's what I ask.
It's a fair question. All right.
Because Rob, I keep going back to this. The beat writers have so many resources in front of them. Content creators should not be their competition. They're in different lanes, different angles. Content creators don't get to go to every practice, every training camp practice, talk to every player. Like all of these sorts of things you're granted as a beat person. You should be in a different playing field, and yet they come down and try and compete with content creators.
Oh, you know what?
Why?
I shouldn't complain because it's helping me out. Brett Davis says,
well, you're crushing it, Rob. You're a different category.
The joys of the bye week, Brett says, talking about Niners beat writers. Brett, go listen to the other hour of the show then. We talked about the team and football plenty. Like we haven't spent
to be fair though, Brett, I'm very passionate about this topic. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm touchy about that stuff. Before we go,
Rob, you cover every topic on your show. You shouldn't be touchy about that. Sometimes we hijack it too. Like I don't think you wanted to talk about this, and I just came in and started yelling about it.
I mean, I've been critical of the Niners beat for a long time, so I was gonna. If you went there, I was gonna take that ride with you. That's for sure.
yeah, 100%. I think for both of us though, it comes from a place of we consume these people. We want better from these people because it makes our experience as fans more enjoyable. Like, it's not about aggregation. Like, I feel like a better fan, a more knowledgeable fan. I enjoy the sport more when I'm getting the untold story behind something that I saw. But now instead, guess what? The same play that everybody asked Shanahan out on Monday, like the one play that'll get called out from the week, like, hey, Kyle, there was this video going around on NFL.com of Kyle Juszczyk moving left and doing this. Guess what Eric Branch's Wednesday article will be? A full essay on that same play. But I've heard about that play 5 times.
Yeah. I don't see it changing anytime soon. Unless you got to get new people in there. That's the only way it's going to change. I think this current group of people
got to try
showing us who they are. And until that changes, this is, that's what we're here for. That hopefully that's what we're here for. Um, really quick, because we're over an hour into this show. I did want to share a personal update, let everybody know what happened with me. Um, on Friday, I finished the show with Michelle. I posted the show to Michelle, or I posted that show with Michelle, and then I drove myself to the emergency room and it was immediately admitted to the hospital. I had chest palpitations, I had chest pain, I was dizzy. It was a horrible, horrible Friday. I have a history of heart issues. I had heart surgery in college, so this was a very, very scary situation for me. Um, Went over to I was actually Yale Hospital because it's the closest hospital to my house. Spent a couple days there. Spent all day Saturday there. Spent a lot of Sunday there as well. Just running test after test after test. Luckily, I'm happy to say the scariest stuff has been ruled out, which is awesome because I was terrified that I was going to drop dead. Quite honestly, like I didn't know what was happening to me. They think it's an anxiety thing. And I share all this because I always say I promise 100% authenticity on the show. And so I just want to be honest with everybody. I did put out a picture of myself in the hospital gown so people knew, that something was going on. So I do think that it is an anxiety thing. I've been trying to deal with it better. I'm going to therapy now. We're working on it. I have my good days and bad days, to be honest. Even since this happened, it's going to be a thing that I'm going to have to deal with. But I did want to say thank you to everybody because I did put out that picture and I had so many people DM me on Instagram and text me and just express concern. Hey, what's up? Are you okay? And I really, really appreciate it. It really helped. Honestly, it did. Just to see that people are here in the community that we have here. This isn't the biggest 49ers show out there, but it sure did feel like it when I was in the hospital bed reading your comments and your texts and your messages. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I also spent a portion of that time arguing with you about Trey Lance on Twitter, Vish, from the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you texted me. You were like, because I didn't see the thing of you in the gown. I actually didn't know you tweeted that actually, and you texted me about it, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's really worrying, Rob. I'm glad you're doing okay. That's actually really scary stuff. How are the Niners helping in terms of all of this? Got to be at least good, right? They're keeping your emotions at one pace right now.
It is, but what I'm learning about anxiety is it's not logical. Like some of the stuff you think would trigger me doesn't have any effect. Like watching the Niners, I'm usually good, but some stuff like we had to go buy our Christmas tree before the show, and my wife was like, "All right, we got to pick out the Christmas tree." And I don't know what about that situation did it, but I could start to feel my heart start to beat in my chest, and I started to sweat, and I started to think about like, am I going to be able to do this? Is everything going to be okay? It's not a logical thing, but once your brain starts going there, or at least my brain, I don't want to speak for everybody. Once my brain starts going there, it snowballs, and I just get caught in this loop, and it's all bad thoughts, and it's just over and over, and you can't turn it off. And so, what I'm hoping to learn through therapy is ways to recognize that and stop it and get off the carnival ride, so to speak. But it is a battle, man. I got to tell you, especially certain days it's real dark and it's not a fun thing, but it's something that I'm dealing with. I was happy, like really lucky that this happened on the 49ers bye week of all weeks. Like, holy crap, because I was in no shape to do show. I could not have functioned. I barely got through the show with Michelle. It was only a half hour because that was literally the most I could do until I had to shut it down and go to the emergency room. So it was a crazy weekend for me, but I am feeling a little bit better. I'm trying to do some things to get some help for it. I got a crazy amount of appointments in my future, but that's okay. But I just wanted to again say thank you to everybody. Thank you to you, Vish, for your kind words, and everybody out there that sent messages. I really, really appreciate it. They did help.
Rob, everybody likes you. So
I wouldn't say that.
they would. Rob, I think you know what I mean when I say that. Like even the people that argue with you on Twitter and you upset them, I think they don't want anything to go wrong or hopefully
Well,
your
I
health to be good. Yeah.
don't think people want to see me dead. But
No, but I don't think they want to see you going through something like this either. And so I'm glad you're doing better. I'm glad the support helped too. Um, and yeah, I hope I don't know what you're doing, but I hope you're gonna get better little by little. And if you need anything to help you from the show's standpoint, or from, I'm sure, people out there that watch our show, everybody's, I'm sure, more than willing to help. I definitely am, Rob.
Well, thank
That's scary stuff, man. Scary stuff.
It is, yeah, it is no fun. And I know there's a lot of athletes that deal with anxiety and the mental side of it. And I got to say, I did not fully understand how powerful it is that your brain. So, like, I was in the hospital, they hook you up to a heart monitor, and I would tell them something is happening. My heart, I could feel it. My heart is not right. I feel weak. And they're looking at the monitor. I'm looking at the monitor. I can see it. 71 beats a minute. Completely normal. Nothing is happening with my heart was not racing, but your brain makes you think that it is. And this would happen over and over and over again. And I'm looking at the thing. I'm like, I do not understand it. Why do I feel this way when I can see? My brain can see the numbers that it's not racing, but it's not a logical thing. It's not how it works. It was a eye-opening experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That's
It was
pretty
wild.
crazy, honestly. Like, that is pretty crazy. Yeah. I guess, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you just feel like the world is racing around you and you're unable to, like, settle onto one thought? Like, I guess, how are you able to function through that emotion and even do a show and stuff like that?
Well, so here's the crazy thing. I think when I do a show, I almost never have problems. Friday was the first time I ever had an issue during the show, because when I do a show, I'm so into it. I'm so into the show and what we're talking about. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about anything I have to do that day. I'm not thinking about anything I have going on with the kids. I'm just locked in. So my brain doesn't wander. I'm hyper focused. So normally doing the shows is fine, but it's others. Like, literally, it could be before I do a show, coming down the stairs to the studio, I could think about something that could send me off. It's a wild thing, man. And I'm grateful that I have a job that I love so much that it does sort of lock me in like that. Because if I had a job where I was just kind of going through, I would not be able to go to work. I wouldn't be able to do it. But this job is so perfect for me that it helps, honestly. Like, doing shows helps me from a mental health perspective.
Rob, you're a stud for sharing all of this. That's really, really cool. I know it's probably not easy to talk about or share in a public forum. You're a stud for that.
Well, I will say this. If you have any sort of anxiety, talk about it. Find someone. Doesn't necessarily even have to be necessarily a mental health professional. If you're not ready or comfortable with that, find someone. Do not suffer in silence. It is a battle that you need help to win it. It's a struggle, man. And I'm not an expert by any means, but I would just, please, we have to talk about this stuff, man. We absolutely have to talk about it. LJ says, I have 2 kids and bad anxiety as well. As a fellow diehard Niners fan, I'm always looking for a community. I'm out of the West Coast and a Niners fan from childhood. Shout out to you. Appreciate it. Everybody's got stuff, man. Everybody's got stuff, whether it's anxiety or whether it's a more physical thing, whatever it is. We're all dealing with stuff. We got to talk about our stuff. That's my philosophy.
Good for you. Again, I don't think it's as easy as the way you're able to talk about it. I think that's really cool. And I'm sure it's helping a lot of people hearing you talk about it in this platform, and the way you talk about it too, being very honest and forthcoming.
Well, if anybody has their anxiety issues and you want to talk about it with me, I'm here. Hit me up, DM me. We can do it. And I'm not saying this for sympathy or anything, but I always say we're not 100% accurate on this show, but we are 100% authentic. And so I just wanted to be honest with everybody about what is going on. And, hopefully, it becomes less and less of an issue as I sort of get some strategies to deal with it and all that stuff.
I don't think anybody will question us about being authentic. I don't think there's maybe you and Levin too, but I don't think there's anybody else going on a 25-minute tangent complaining while they're doing a show about how other shows aren't servicing their fan needs enough.
Hey,
that's unique.
This is what we offer here at the Gold Standard. That's why you got to like this video. You got to subscribe to the channel. If you don't like this show, we do different shows all throughout the week. I promise you there is a show we do that you will like, that will make you come back. So please like this video. Please subscribe.
Try Fridays.
Fridays is one of my favorite shows with me and Michelle. We do picks. We break down the game. It is super fun. The instant reaction shows immediately following the game where we have mostly me go nuts about whatever has just happened, good, bad, or ugly. But I promise you will like it. So please check us out. Vish, thank you for joining from the road. I really appreciate that. I know you're traveling for work. You always make time for us. So thank you for that, sir.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you made it back in time for our show, going through something a lot harder than me just logging in from a hotel, man. Okay. So we're both troopers for this one. You a little bit more than me, but only a little because, I tuned in from the road. Like, that's kind of a big deal.
I just want to know, are you going to get room service after this?
No.
No?
I'm not a room service guy. No.
Why
I'm gonna walk outside, see what they're because I like walking out like at night, like in a new area, just
Well,
going around for a walk. And I'm in like a very suburban area. So I'll see what's around, maybe get something to eat, get a lay of the land.
and I forgot you're in Utah, so it's not for me. It's 9:20 at night, but for you, it's
Yeah,
what,
it's
20,
8:20. Yeah.
8.
Oh, 7:20. Yeah, mountain.
Yeah. So yeah, it's dinner time. You could easily go and find something. All right. Well,
Oh yeah.
enjoy
How
Utah.
by the way, how's the game going? I have no dual screen, no dual setup, no idea how the Eagles are doing, but I hope they're losing.
It is 7-3 Chargers right now, I believe. Unless I have that wrong. Let me just see. Oh no, 10-3. 10-3.
Right, there we go.
5 minutes to go in the first half. Justin Herbert is 5 of 9 for 89 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts is 8 of 12 for 73 yards with a pick. And apparently Justin Herbert fumbled and threw a pick on the same play. Is that some people are saying that in the chat?
Oh, okay. I kind of like where we are. I hope this is one of those games where and we'll end the show on this, Rob. But if you want to add to my hater list, whoever's keeping track, I think it was Brisby, my friend. Um, I think every game I watch Jalen Hurts play, I'm ready. Like, how we were talking about resounding narratives? I'm ready every time to resoundingly say he's not a good quarterback. And then somehow in the middle of the third quarter, there'll be some deep ball that hangs up in the air. And I'm like, yeah, that's a bad throw. And Devonta Smith is going to outjump two people, moss them, catch it in the end zone. The Eagles go up and they win the game 17-10. And I'm like, well, I can't really shit on him because they won and it's a whole thing. So 121-16. So it's one of those things, Rob. Hopefully today I get to do that.
We'll see. Go Chargers. Come on, Jim Harbaugh. Do us a solid, damn it. I like to see the Eagles. Anytime NFC teams lose, I always root for all of it. Good. So do us a solid, Jim Harbaugh. It is hilarious that Jim Harbaugh is starting a quarterback that just had surgery on one of his hands like 2 days before instead of starting Trey Lance. Do with that what you will, everybody. But thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk tomorrow.